Hi and welcome. My name is Rob Scott from UC Today, bringing you the latest news and conversation from the unified communications, collaboration and CX industries. So today I'm joined by Colin Campbell from Olive Communications, and we'll be discussing CX transformation and how organizations can survive and thrive during this pandemic period. Welcome, Colin.
Hi, Rob. Thanks for having me on today.
No, thanks for joining me. Hey, Colin, a good place to start would be just a quick intro. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Olive, please.
Sure. Yeah. My name's Colin Campbell. I work for Olive Communications. I've been in this industry for over 20 years. My main role in Olive is to consult with our end customers on their customer experience requirements.
Fantastic. Thanks for the intro, Colin. Good to meet you as well. Olive, an interesting business, leading kind of organization in cloud communications, contact center in the UK here. So I was keen to kind of talk to you today about what you're seeing from the front line, really. How are end customers at the moment approaching customer experience from your perspective?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question, Rob. Ultimately, if we take ourselves back to the start of this pandemic in 2020, clearly customers that were already cloud enabled were able to thrive during that sort of initial period. But the benefits of the cloud service really enabled those organizations to align their operation in terms of the demand that they were seeing at that point in time. And notwithstanding the point of being able to rapidly deploy their resources to anywhere, whether that's home working or alternative locations. So those organizations that are already on that journey have seen their ability to move forward and take that communications that their customers are demanding from them to the next step. Now, we also work with customers who haven't been on that cloud journey as well, and are looking to adopt. And in that early stage of the pandemic, lots of organizations just rushed to the cloud to grab a service just to be able to operate. And what we're seeing now, in line with the wave of the current sort of pandemic, is that those requirements are starting to change. Just the ability to operate from home is no longer good enough. Organizations have seen challenges such as when they first moved to the work from home strategy, their actual sickness rates reduced because people were no longer needed to commute, able to work from home and be more flexible. And for the first couple of months, actually, that was seen as a very good perk. But since this has gone on for some months, those sickness rates have now started to go back to normal pre-pandemic levels. So the challenge that the customers now have is how can they keep their employees engaged, the well-being of their employees, and that's the double-sided head coin of the customer experience world, really. Happy employees translates pretty much into happy customers. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of movement in employee engagement services and more flexible working practices in line with the demand that customers are seeing across different channels. And I think some of that also is linked back to the way that consumers are now looking to communicate with those end users. So things like using web-enabled services and communicating back into an organization, and then extending that to maybe a call or an email, and having that single view of a customer is really, really important. That if you had invested in those cloud-enabled services early on, you would benefit from that during this phase. So we are seeing the adoption of these services, and certainly COVID has driven that cloud journey a lot faster than the market was anticipating.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And cloud does deliver on that promise, doesn't it? I mean, it does make businesses more agile in times of a crisis like this. So I'm interested to hear kind of a little bit more around how you're addressing those challenges, Colin, at Olive, because you work with a lot of end customers. So I'm interested to hear kind of what's happening out there. What kind of stage are we in this pandemic? Are organizations actually now deploying longer term solutions, and how are Olive helping with that?
Yeah, absolutely. We're certainly seeing now and it's towards the end of the first wave, really. Customers really looking to embrace more transformational services. So they're looking to develop their AI capabilities, so trying to take the more mundane tasks away from their human capital. So these are the expensive resources, and making their work more meaningful. So some of the challenges there are, lots of end customers are just contacting their providers, whether that's in insurance, mortgages, for example, just for what we classify a frequently asked question. So organisations are looking to automate that where possible, ensuring that the customer still has a great experience whilst doing that. So lots of investment around AI, and certainly we're seeing lots of growth in certain areas. While you could imagine the travel industry has suffered a bit, those organisations that were able to flexibly contract for cloud-based services and could scale up and scale down commercially are able to continue to operate in that space. And they're seeing in that space the ability to still communicate with their end users that they would traditionally do in bricks and mortar. So you go into a travel agent and look to maybe book a cruise, for example. The demographic there would really like to have that personal touch. So what we're seeing is the adoption of video-based services in that market, to give that personalized interaction, and it's enabling those organizations to still continue to one, keep their employees engaged, and reduce the number of employees they're putting on furlough, and really just sort of embrace that opportunity. Really, lots of people sat at home thinking about when's this all going to end and looking to book their travel arrangements for the future. So we're seeing an uptick there, when that at the start that obviously tailed off a bit. And the telehealth market has absolutely exploded. Clearly, the ability to consult with worried or concerned customers, or whether they've got a medical issue. Again, the adoption of video has rapidly moved forward, and we expect to see that to continue.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you expect to see that continue? Because naturally, that was an emerging trend, telemedicine and video in the contact center. But I imagine that's going to be a real kind of staple, kind of part of the solution going forward.
Yeah, and absolutely. Yeah, telehealth is quite a mature service, and primarily, if you look at the United States, that's something because of the size of that country. It's been adopted for many years, and now as UK consumers, literally the ability to speak to your doctor or someone that you trust and have that face-to-face interaction, that trust and loyalty to you know with that interaction is important. So we're absolutely seeing video becoming more mainstream, and again, cloud enables that in a secure way, and rather than just being a one-way communication, you can really engage.
Yeah, absolutely. I've even this afternoon got a Zoom call. I think it's a Zoom call or some kind of video call with my bank, which is a first. I'd never thought I'd have a video call with my bank, and it's just the way things are moving now, and it's just moving so fast, isn't it? So
Yeah, we're seeing that ourselves in some of our financial services customers. Things like the ability to go into your bank, but still speak with a subject matter expert. And again, the use of video there has been important. The ability to deliver those services at scale. So financial organisations are having subject matter experts that are within contact centres, but still have the ability to give that personal touch for people that are walking into branch. Obviously, we're looking for a low touch, frictionless service, so reducing that sort of face-to-face contact. But we're seeing a big uptick in that demand as well.
yeah, it's interesting times ahead, exciting times ahead for the industry, for organisations like Olive to be able to, really, deploy more and more of these solutions. Because I think what the stats, something like 20% of organisations pre-pandemic were in the cloud for their communications. I think that was less for contact centre, maybe 15%. But I wonder what that number will be as we kind of head into the new year.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely going to grow. In the 20 plus years I've been doing this, I've never been so busy. So the market is absolutely accelerating in that. And I think, when organisations look at their risk register and say, what would we do differently if we knew what was coming? Ultimately, I think having their customer communications cloud enabled will be right at the top of that list. And we're seeing some really exciting projects that we're engaging with, and customers are starting to take that really seriously. So yeah, it's good news for the industry going forwards.
Indeed. Okay, so my final question for you, Colin, is kind of, what advice would you give organizations looking at their customer experience heading into 2021? What advice would you give them to be ultimately successful?
Okay, I spent pre-pandemic, I spent a lot of my time actually engaging with customers and touring their customer service operations, doing day in the life surveys with their employees and their customers. And the customers that I feel are benefiting the most are actually engaging their end customers in that decision-making process. So running things like innovation workshops and really understanding that voice of the customer enables an organization to try and translate that into the best possible experience for their customers. So what my advice really is, yes, engage the customer, look at the cloud first. There's lots of opportunities there. Look for a provider that will be able to offer you a best of breed approach and not lock you into a certain solution. And look for that openness as well. So as well as customer experience solutions, the UC element of joining an enterprise together is becoming more and more important as well. So innovation in that space and integration will improve overall customer experience.
And for organizations looking to get in touch with Olive, what's the best way?
We run lots of events, Rob, using video and webinars, but the best place to find information and learn with Olive is our website, which is olive.co.uk.
Great. Well, Colin, it's been great to have you on today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Rob. Speak to you soon.
And that's it from us. If you've enjoyed today's session, please do give us a quick like or a share on social media. It's always appreciated. I'm Rob Scott from UC Today. Thanks for watching.